Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk a bit about some of the bigger essential baby items that you might need. When we first went into a baby store when I was pregnant, we were pretty overwhelmed just because it was so much stuff and it was our first time, so we didn't really know exactly what we needed. And everyone knows that the bigger stuff isn't exactly cheap, and it's pretty tempting when it's your first time to buy everything, but obviously it can add up if you do end up buying too much stuff. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the things that I think are must-haves, and then the other things that are really great to have but you might not necessarily need. Obviously every baby's different as well, so what works for one baby might not for another. If you've got the finances and the space, then I guess it probably doesn't really matter what you end up buying. But I really wanted to do this video today for anyone who doesn't have the space or wants to save a bit of money. So just for a bit of background context, when I was about 18 weeks pregnant, we needed to move. So we were renting a 2-bedroom apartment. It was pretty big, like nice layout, lots of storage. It was close to the beach, which was nice, and pretty much it was just a really nice size for a new family. But the landlord wanted to move back in, so we had to find a new place to live. So we took the opportunity to downsize to a smaller 2-bedroom apartment just because I was going to be on maternity leave. I'm still on maternity leave now, and we just wanted to still live comfortable on just my husband's income. So we found a smaller 2-bedroom apartment, which I won't show you guys today, maybe in a different video, but it's definitely smaller. There's not as much storage and the layout's a little bit more tight, so we had to be super particular when it came to what we were going to buy and what things we were going to go without. The good news is that we save $120 a week on rent, which is a lot in the long run. So I'm going to talk about the things that we ended up getting and how we saved on those items, and then the items that we would have liked to have had but how we've kind of worked around not having them. A tip when it comes to buying the bigger stuff is I would say just focus on the things for newborn stage, because there are so many things that you will end up needing to buy, and it can be so overwhelming to think that you need to buy everything all at once. We focused on the things that we knew that we would need right from the beginning. The only thing that we actually bought ahead of time was just an extra seat for our stroller, just because it was cheaper to get it at the time as an additional add-on to the stroller when we bought it. And then we also thought that would be great because we're prepared for like when we have a second child, if we have one. Things like a high chair or like playpen, or you know, those little gates and things like that, we didn't really feel like we needed right away. There are 3 ways that you can save money when it comes to getting your baby items, and I'll kind of talk through how we use those 3 ways to get the items that we've got. So the first way is to get secondhand, so whether it's from friends or family, or you could buy online from somebody else. Facebook Marketplace is actually a really great place to find some things. A lot of people sell their baby items on that. And a lot of the time people will sell things that have barely been used, because there are some baby items that don't actually get used for a long time. The second way to save is to buy things when they're on sale. Some of the good times during the year for sales would probably be Black Friday and Boxing Day. I know a lot of people who waited for those sales to come up to get the things that they wanted to get for some of the bigger items that are more expensive, so those are really good times. And sometimes I'll do sales at those pregnancy and baby expos. If you don't make it to one of those expos, don't worry, because what we found is some of the items that we wanted to buy that were on special at the expo were the same as when they have the sales on during the year. That's what we found with some of the items that we wanted. And the third way to save money is to buy floor stock. You know, when you go into baby stores and obviously there's things on display that you can play with and have a look at. So sometimes stores have extra stock on the floor, or they have stock that's been there for a while that they need to rotate out. So they'll usually sell that stock for cheaper. We actually got a couple items that were floor stock as well. They're obviously still new because they haven't been used by anyone else, but they have been touched by other people. Just a disclaimer to start off with, I am not a medical professional, I'm not a baby expert, and I definitely don't think that I know any better than any other parent. In today's video, I'm just going to talk about the items based on like our experience and what we found most useful. I don't want anyone to think that I think that I know best, because I don't. I'm just trying to help with anybody who's in the same position that we were in at the time. Okay, now that I've got all of that out of the way, I'm just going to talk about 12 items today. So these are things that I think are probably a bit bigger and take up a bit more space, and I'm going to put them into 4 different categories: sleep, transport, nursery, and activity. First one I'll start with is sleep, and the first item I'll talk about is a cot, and I definitely think a cot is a must-have, just because you can use it right from newborn age and it'll last you quite a few years. So we were very fortunate that we got a cot secondhand from our friends, and we just bought a brand new mattress. The mattress didn't cost that much. I think it was $150, and it was delivered to us online. I'll try to find the product and link it below. I don't get anything for recommending them, it's just the mattress that we got and we think it's great. And a tip when it comes to buying a cot to get the most out of it is to try and find a cot cot that has adjustable heights, which I think most cots do, so you can adjust it from newborn height and then you drop it to lower when your baby can stand, so that obviously your baby doesn't roll out. Then you can also get those cots that actually transform into a bed for later on, so I would definitely look out for a cot that does that. Obviously you can use it when your baby's a toddler. Our cot only has the adjustable height, so we will eventually have to buy a bed when our baby girl is a little bit older. And the second item that I wanted to talk about is a bassinet, and you can get this in different variations. So you might see the little bassinets that have the kind of hood thing and the wheels, or just a freestanding bassinet, or you can get the really cute little Moses baskets you might have seen, and then you can get the co-sleepers, the ones that kind of have the side that comes down, you can pop next to the bed. Now this is one of the items that we were not too sure about in the beginning. If you're really wanting to save money, you definitely don't need to have a bassinet. Basically those items are really good to have when your baby's a newborn, just because they're obviously tiny and they are convenient for their own reasons. But I don't think that they're a must-have. And to be honest, we only used ours for about 6 to 8 weeks, so we didn't get a lot of use. We bought our bassinet online on Facebook Marketplace for $50, so it was a second-hand bassinet. And the reason that we bought it was that it was a travel bassinet, so we just thought it'd be handy if we went to like friends' places or we went camping, then we could take it with us. It was really easy to pack. And I really liked mine because it had a little netting over the top of it. I'm like super scared of like bugs and things like that, like the idea of bugs getting my baby, so I like the idea of having that cover. If you don't buy a bassinet or a co-sleeper or a Moses basket or any other sleeper for nighttime, then you can just use the cot from the beginning for your newborn. And you can buy those little bumper things that go around the cot to make it a little bit more comfy for your baby. But yeah, you don't have to buy one of those, and if you are, then I would highly recommend just getting a second-hand one. And then the third item that I was going to talk about in regards to sleep is one of those day sleepers. I don't know the right name for them, but they're those really comfy, big kind of cushion looking thingies that your baby can sleep in during the day. And then obviously you can move it around with you in the house. We didn't end up getting one of those. We saw it at the Baby Expo and it was pretty expensive, and they look amazing and they look super cozy, but they're one of those items you definitely don't need. They are a good item if you do want your baby to sleep during the day next to you, if you're on the couch or doing chores around the house and you want to move them around. But if you want to save on not getting that item, you can either put your baby to sleep in their cot or bassinet during the day, which some sleep specialists recommend anyway, just to get your baby used to the bed. And then another way that you can do it, which is how I did it with our baby, is to use the change mat. So I just put sheets and blankets on the change mat to make it comfy and popped it on the couch, and sometimes my baby would fall asleep on that during the day if I needed to get stuff done. So I just switched to the other side of the table because the lighting's a bit better. So that was sleep, and now I'll talk about transport. And the 3 items that I'll talk about under transport are a car seat, a stroller, and a capsule. If you have a car and you use it, then 100% you need a car seat. Most baby stores and mechanics will fit the car seat for you, and it's not that expensive. It's $40 in Australia. We got ours fitted by the mechanic. Just a tip if you are wanting to buy a car seat secondhand is that they do have an expiry date. So if you are going to buy off somebody else, just make sure you check the expiry date on that car seat, just to make sure that it fits the period of time that you're going to use it for your baby. We ended up buying a more expensive car seat just for the extra head protection. We got our car seat from a pregnancy and baby expo on special, but then I found out later that they just do that same price like during the year when they have sales anyway, so we didn't even have to go there just to get the special, but that's all right. The next item I wanted to talk about is a stroller, which I definitely think is a must-have, and it will last you a while because you can use it right from newborn stage until your baby's a toddler. And as your baby gets heavier, you definitely don't want to be holding them around. This is one of those items that you can actually save on in various ways. Like, I know a lot of people who buy secondhand strollers. We bought one of the strollers that they had on display at the baby store, and they had a double up, so they ended up selling the one that we bought. I know one mum who got her Red's baby pram really cheap during a Black Friday sale. I think she ended up paying $600, which is amazing. We bought the Baby Jogger City Select pram. I think it retails for about $1,300, and we got the whole set for $900, including the bassinet basket and the 2 seats. It was still super expensive, but I do really like the pram because it's quite heavy duty and very strong. So the last transport item I wanted to talk about is a capsule. A capsule is a really great item if you drive a lot and you don't want your baby to be disturbed when you're moving them from the stroller to the car without disrupting your baby, especially if they're asleep. But there's certain brands that the capsules are compatible with when it comes to the stroller and the car seat. So that's just something to keep in mind. We didn't buy a capsule because we didn't think we need it, and to be honest, we haven't. There have been times that our baby has fallen asleep in the stroller or in the car. We don't have her in the car that often anyway, so it really wasn't a big deal for us. And the thing to keep in mind with capsules when it comes to buying them, because they're not cheap, is that they actually only last up until about 6 months old, unless your baby's a bit smaller and you can squeeze them in for a bit longer. But you're really only getting that 6 months worth for the capsule, so I'm not really sure if it's 100% worth getting it. That's just my opinion though. I definitely think they're a really great product to have, but if you do want to save a bit of money, you can probably go without. So that was sleep and transport, and now I'm going to talk about some items that I've classed under nursery. The first item that I'll talk about is a change table. So a change table is really handy to have your mat on top of, and then it's got the little sections to keep like all your baby items on. So it's really handy for that, but I definitely don't think that you need it. If you've got a really nice set of drawers for your nursery, then you can just pop the change table on top. But even then, if you don't have the drawers either, you can just move the mat around. You can pop it on the floor, the sofa, the bed. We actually keep it up on our dining table, to be honest, for the most part, because we don't really use our dining table that often. Obviously, if we do need to use the dining table, if we've got friends around, we just tidy it up and then just move the change table and all the items away somewhere else. We got given our change table from our friends, so we just use it to keep things like diapers and wipes, towels, washcloths, blankets, and sheets. So that's come in handy for us, but you definitely don't need one. So that brings me on to my next item under nursery, and that's a set of drawers. You will notice that in a lot of nurseries, if you see pictures and videos, they'll have a nice set of drawers that goes with the rest of the nursery, and I think they're really cute, and I actually would have loved to have had some drawers, but this is one of the items that we ended up not getting just to save space. So the room that we ended up using for the nursery has a built-in wardrobe, and it has some shelves and hangers and storage space above it, so we ended up just going with that. I ended up just buying some plastic containers for like $5 each from Kmart, or you can get them from Target or any other department store, and they come with a lid, so I just thought they'd come in handy later on if I needed them for storage. But I just use those as my little buckets for clothes. It's really messy and I do have to sort out baby's items at some point, but yeah, that's how we've made do without drawers, and it's worked really well for us. We keep the wardrobe door shut during the day anyway, so it's neat and tidy. The next nursery item that I wanted to talk about is a rocking chair, or like a nursing chair that you'd use when you're breastfeeding or just relaxing. This is something that I really wanted, and I kept looking for one secondhand because they can be quite expensive. They're super cute when you're setting up your nursery, and I do think that it's a really nice item to have, but it's again not a must-have, and we ended up not getting one. Obviously, if you do have space and the finances to get one, then I would definitely recommend getting one, and obviously because it's a piece of furniture, it's going to last you for a while. When it comes to nursing, what I've done is breastfeed my baby on the couch or in the bed, so a lot of the time I'll feed her during the night in the bed anyway, because it makes sense to stay in bed, and then during the day I'll feed her on the couch, which works fine for us. So I definitely didn't need the rocking chair, and to be honest, if we bought one, it would have looked really nice in the nursery, but I probably wouldn't have actually used it. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to walk into the nursery to feed my baby, because we're usually just in the living area of our apartment. The last item that I wanted to talk about with nursery is a bath and the stand that the baths can sit on top of. So you will notice when you go to the baby stores that you can see the baths that have the little stands, and that's really handy to have just so that you're standing upright and not bending over. But you definitely don't need that stand. You will need a place for your baby to bathe in, but you can use a normal size bathtub if you've got one, or you could use the kitchen sink, or you could use the laundry sink. You can just buy a brand new plastic bathtub from the store. They usually only go for about $15 to $20, or you can find them on Marketplace really cheap. A lot of people just sell them for like $5 to $10, and some people even give them away for free. We actually got a bathtub given to us from our friends, but we didn't end up using it because it was quite small. My mum ended up buying us a brand new tub, and it wasn't cheap, but it collapses and it has a little heat sensor on the plug, so it changes color when the water gets too hot, which I think is great. We really like the collapsible bath because it's easy to pack away, and then if we're going away anywhere, we can take it with us easily. But you definitely don't need to buy one of those stands that a bath comes with, because you can just prop it up on a table, or we use it on the kitchen sink, and then obviously you can also just have it on the floor as well if you don't mind crouching over when you give your baby a bath. Okay, so I've talked about sleep, transport, nursery, and now I'll just talk about activity, and there's just two items that I'm going to talk about when it comes to activity. The first one is a rocker, and the second one is a play mat. Rockers come in quite a few different variations. You can get really simple little jumper ones that your baby just sits on and it kind of bounces manually, or you can get a digital one that plugs into the wall and rocks by itself, plays music, and has little dangly things for your baby to look at and play with. We really liked the look of 4Mum's Mummaroo, and we really wanted to get that one just because there's a few different options for movement for baby. It retails for over $400 in Australia. So I looked online to try and find a secondhand one, and people still sell those ones for quite expensive as well, for like $250 to $300. And then I ended up finding the 4Mum's Rockaroo secondhand, so it's still expensive but slightly cheaper than the Mummaroo. And the difference is that it doesn't have the different options for movement, it just rocks back back and forth. But we bought that secondhand off another mum for $150. So it's ended up being one of the best items that we've bought for baby, because she's loved it from newborn stage, and it's really helped for moments where I've had to do chores or shower or eat, and she actually falls asleep in it too. She's gotten used to just self-soothing when she's in the rocker. Sometimes I put on something on the TV or on my phone for her to watch while she's in it as well. But I would say it's not an item that's a must-have, just because every baby is different, and I have heard that some babies don't take to the rockers really well and then other babies love them. So it really just comes down to your baby's preferences. If you are going to buy one, I would just say get secondhand. I don't really think it's worth getting brand new, especially if your baby ends up not liking it and then you end up spending a ton of money on something that you don't end up using. There are heaps of different types of rockers, and there are a lot of ones that are quite affordable, so I definitely think it's worth looking into getting one. And the final item that I wanted to talk about is a play mat, which I definitely think is a must-have. And again, it's one of those items that you can get for really cheap or secondhand from somebody else. It's just one of those great things to have for your baby to keep occupied and for them to learn different colors and different shapes. And the dangly things that you can get on those play mats make noises, they scrunch or they shake, and that's really cool for your baby's development. We got given our play mat as one of our baby shower gifts, and I really love it because, again, if I need to do some house chores or something really quickly, I can just pop baby on the mat, and she loves to play with the little dangly things. Sometimes I even use it when I want baby to go to sleep, so I put the play mat in the cot and then I put baby on that, and she falls asleep after a while, and that actually works really well for her. It also packs away really easy, so it actually doesn't take up that much space. But yeah, I definitely would recommend getting some sort of play mat. So that's the 12 big essential baby items that I wanted to talk about today. I hope that this video helped you guys to make a decision if you're kind of on the fence about any of the items that I talked about. I'm sorry if I've missed anything that you really wanted to know about. I feel like I covered all the big things, but I don't know, I might be missing something. The only other item that I was thinking about is those little jumpy activity centers that have the music and little dangly things. Those are really handy, but your baby doesn't actually fit in them till they're about 4 months old. Bub's actually now 5 months old, so she just turned 5 months old a couple of days ago, and she still doesn't quite touch the ground on it, so it's definitely not something that you need to buy right away. But I think it's one of those great things to have for their development and learning later on, and just to keep them occupied if you need to get stuff done. The one that we bought packs away really nicely. It folds, so that's really handy for the apartment that we live in, so when we're not using it, we pack it away really easily. They're also not that expensive. I think they retail for about 100 to 150 on average. You can get more expensive ones because they do a lot more things, but you don't really need them, so you can just get a cheaper one, and it is another one of those items that you can get secondhand pretty easily. But yeah, I better finish up there. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, and if you do want to continue following my videos, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys later.